All right, cool. So let's recap what we did really quick. Let me empty that recycle bin. I don't like garbage in my video. All right. Don't need that. Open up the Hyper-V. So last week we built the DC1 and DC2, right? So these both have domain controllers on them, and they were talking with each other. So they were just about ready to start doing a job. When we installed those domain controllers, it also installed DNS, correct? So they should be able to designate names to IP addresses, but we aren't handing out IP addresses, right? So we probably want to be able to hand out workstations on our network IP addresses. So the first thing we're going to do today is we're going to install DHCP. And then in that DHCP, we're going to set up a scope. After that, we're going to build a workstation or a test bench so that we can test what we're doing in our network and create user accounts and log into that workstation and see if what we did actually worked. So again, I'm recording this, and plus there's a video up there already from Friday when I did this. So we're going to do everything on our DC2, but first thing, let's check and make sure everything's working right, okay? Since we did have the weekend, we want to make sure that turning these on and off, that they're still talking properly, because we know that network card can glitch, right? Where did you open it at? There we go. We're just going to check our stuff really quick. Bottom right hand corner. Contoso.com, that's a good sign. Then we're going to go check on our DC1 also and make sure that one still says Contoso.com, because we don't want those to say unknown network. That would be bad. Even though the one says the right thing doesn't mean the other one will. And we're going to install this stuff on DC2. All right, and then let me just view full screen so I can see the bottom right hand corner there. And we're good. So I'm going to minimize DC1 because I don't need it. It needs to stay running. I just don't need to be in it right now. There we go. So all the hard drive stuff and that, we can just, you can delete that and keep redoing it. That was just for practice exercises for that time. Later on, you're going to need to remember how to do it so that you can set that stuff up. So we're going to go into our Happy Server Manager, and we're going to install ourselves a DHCP server now. Because we need to be able to hand out IP addresses like tickets so that other computers can get on our network and actually do stuff. So, Hillary, right there, see you on the screen, DC2. So we need to go to Manage. We're going to do Add Roles and Features. And again, even though we've clicked this before, it still keeps showing the screen. I want to skip it, but it doesn't like me. We're going to do a role-based or feature-based installation, something we can touch to see, something that's physical. We're going to do it on DC2. So in here, all we have to do is we're going to click on this DHCP server right here. This is in our Add Roles and Features wizard. This will pop up. It says it needs to install all this other fun stuff. And then we're just going to next our way through here really quick. We don't need to click on anything else. Restart if needed. I don't think we need to restart, but it's always a good practice to click that when you're going through here. Just about done. There we go. I'm going to close that. And you'll see every time we install something, we have this flag up here with an exclamation point. We're going to complete our configuration. We just have to come in here and actually authorize it so that it can talk with our Active Directory. So we're just going to hit next.
Sean,
Now's
when
not
I
the
go
time. We'll fix it when it's time. We're recording right now. Using the follow user credentials. It's just going to be our Contoso administrator. Then you'll see it says done. If there's an error message here, there's something wrong and we have to redo everything because there shouldn't be anything wrong here because we have nothing on here. So once that's done, there should be nothing else up here on the flag. We're going to come up with the tools really quick. And now we should have DHCP. I'm going to click on the DHCP under tools. And if you don't drop this arrow right here, and you try to right click, it'll all be gray. So if I go back in there, go to the DHCP, if I right click, see how everything's grayed out? So for some reason, if you don't drop that arrow, you can't actually do any of this stuff, okay? So you drop the arrow, then you can right click and it actually shows it. Then you bring it back up and it still shows it. So just remember that later on when you're trying to do something that says right click, if it's grayed out, drop it, then right click it, and then it shows more options. So we need to be able to hand out IP addresses to everybody on our network. So we're going to set up a DHCP server on here. So the scope that we're using for our servers is 10.0.0.10 and 10.0.0.20, DC1 and DC2. So we need to keep that in mind when we're setting up our scope. We did do 255.0.0.0 for our subnet mask, so we can use any of those numbers. So the best thing to do is plan how it's easier for you to organize stuff. So I'm going to put 10.10.10.1 for our workstation network, just so it's easy for us to remember. And that gives us plenty to play with. So the way to start our first scope is we're going to right click on IPv4 and we're going to go to new scope. And I'm going to go next. And here we're just going to name it. So let's just call this workstation. And we don't have to put a description in it. It's just if you want to, you can. And if it looks nicer, you can put a capital on there. I'm going to hit next. So this is just telling us what range we're going to actually delegate and hand out. So think of this like your neighborhood. So this is like the 4,000 block, the 10,000 block. So we're just going to give a block of IP addresses out. So for us, we're going to do 10.10.10.1, and we're going to go all the way to 10.10.10.255. 255 is the maximum amount that we can actually hand out, right? Because that's every single bit. There's actually 256 bits, but the 256 bit is the IP address that exists, and we can't use network and we can't use broadcast to actually hand those out. But this, we have 255.0.0.0, so our network actually starts at the 10.0.0.1. So, and then our broadcast is actually at the very far end of 255.255.255. So we don't have to worry about that being an issue right here. So you'll notice this says length right here, configuration settings that propagate to DHCP clients. So you're probably more familiar with this as being called CIDR. So if I flip this up, so we have right here, it says 0. We're using 8 bits, left or right. 8 bits are turned on, which is causing our subnet mask. So this is all locked to the network. So if I click up, we get the value of 128, which is actually the value of your very first bit in each octet, correct? So if we add 64 onto that, right, we're going to get 192. If we add 32 to that, 224, 16, right? 8. What's after that? 4, 2, 1. And then we're into the next octet, right? So this is just CIDR right here. The subnet mask is just our CIDR that we're actually manually clicking through it. That's why you only actually need to memorize those few numbers right there. You don't need to remember everything else, because this is the only numbers that can possibly exist for a subnet mask. There's no half bits that we can use. So we'll just leave that on default at 8 for now. And then when we're done with this stuff, I'll go back and we can fix your guys' machines. So I'm going to go next. So this is where we would exclude stuff. So if we don't want to give people IP addresses in a certain range and we want to reserve them for like our servers, devices, printers, we would put a range in the range we just picked that we don't want to actually hand out IP addresses, that we're going to statically set them manually in here for certain devices. So we're not going to worry about that right now because we don't have anything to set up. And plus we have the whole IP range of this Class B subnet, or Class A, right? Yeah, Class A. So we're going to hit next here. So our default lease is going to be 8 days. So this is kind of like the lease for your house. You sign a lease for like a year, 2 years, whatnot. When that lease runs out, you have to renew your lease, right? So that's the same thing with DHCP. You have to renew the lease after a certain amount of time. So default is 8. If you're set this up for like a cafe or something, you might want to set it up for hours because people are only going to be there for a few hours, and you don't want to run out of IP addresses if you have a lot of volume of people going through there, or in a hotel. You know, so hotels, they kick you off the internet really quick because there's so many people in every single room that they want to kick you out like every 2 hours or 30 minutes. And especially if you're using their free stuff, they want it to be as annoying as possible unless you actually pay for the more advanced internet, like in airports and that. So I'm just going to leave that at the default of 8. I'm going to go next. So now here is if we also want to set up, if it's going to point to a Win server, to our DNS, and to our gateway. We want to click yes here, just so you can see it, because it's a pain to get back to this later. So here's, if we had a gateway, we'd put it right here. Usually your domain controller is your gateway sometimes, if it's actually running a router services on it. Your router is what 9 times out of 10 will be your gateway. So at your home, your gateway is probably 192.168.0.1 or something similar to that. Since we're not trying to hit external internet or anything right now, we're not going to set this up right now, but this is where you set your default gateway at. Then DNS, it already has our DNS server stuff in here, and for some reason it puts that in there twice. That doesn't need to be in there 2 times. But, and then also tell us that our parent domain is contoso.com. So that's all good. That's why it shows up down here on the corner, Contoso. So we're going to go next on there. We don't have a Win server. This is legacy, so we don't need to worry about it. But if we did have an older system that you had to work on, this is where we would put it. So let me hit next here. And then, yes, I want to activate this scope. If we don't activate it, see how it's yellow up here? So if I hit next and finish, you just saw a checkbox and stuff fire up, and it's waiting to turn on. I might have to hit refresh on it, but so let me try to zoom in on here. Come on, there we go. All right. So once that's done, you should have a little green dot here and a green dot with a check on your IPv4. So let me zoom back out because that really lags that out. Let me make this full screen. And your little happy little magnifying glass, go away. So now if we click over here, we now have a scope that says 10.0.0.0 workstation. If I drop that, it's going to give us our address pool. So we're given 10.10.10.1 is the beginning of our address pool, and the end of it is 2 255. So that's what'll happen when a computer actually logs on. It'll get an IP address from the beginning of this at the end, and when it runs out, that IP address will be available for someone else to use. So, and then if we actually have someone on here, they will show up under this lease list here. So you can kick them off if there's having issues and they can rejoin. Reservations is that area where if we wanted to reserve it for like a server, for a printer, for something that you want static that's easy to find and you don't want to set a static IP address at the client, you could set it here and have it based on the MAC address. Here's where it's given our DNS server information. So we have the 10.0.0.10 and 10.0.0.20. So this will automatically populate your IP address when we look at statistics and do an IP config all. And this is telling everybody, hey, our parent domain name is contoso.com. So, and I don't think we have any policies set yet. No, we do not. So in order to see if all this is working, we need something that's running on DHCP, right, guys? We've got DHCP, but we probably want to see it actually working, actually in action. So your labs don't actually show stuff working, correct? They do it, you set something up, and then you move on, right? So let's see this actually functioning and working. So we got to create another computer, right? We should be experts at this part by now. So when I tried to show PM class, I cut a whole bunch out because I was going to go do Windows 10. Then I realized I didn't have Windows 10 ISOs on your systems and it would take too long. But we have that base image we created, right? So we just had to create one with that base image. So we can just do another server, but we're not going to use it as a server. We're going to use it as a test bench to make sure everything's working correctly. So we're going to go into our Hyper-V manager. And remember, Red's Hyper, this is our main system. We'll just call our Big Red or whatever. And we're going to go new, virtual machine. We're going to create another server machine on here, but we're not going to use it as a server. So I'm going to come up here and I'm just going to call this test. We're going to use it for testing stuff. Going to go next, generation 2. Next. I'm going to give this a little bit more RAM. I'm going to give it 2048 because we're going to put some GUI stuff on this one. And use dynamic memory. Remember, since we're using dynamic memory, we're going to have to go back and fix a glitch. We want an external switch. So for us, it's the Intel one. Remember, as soon as we're activated, we shut down and we go to private so that we're not on the live network. I'm going to go next. We're not going to create a virtual hard disk. We're going to attach a virtual hard disk later. This makes life so much easier. We're going to go finish. Then we're going to go in here, and this actually forces us to go in here and check our settings quick. So I'm just going to go down my list. Memory first. Fix the glitch. I hit numlock thinking it wasn't on, and it was on. 2048, I'm going to hit apply so the blue is gone. Back to the grays. And then let's go down to SCSI controller, and we need to attach a hard drive, right? So let's go add. We're going to say new. And we're going to do our difference, and we're going to use that same base one we've been using for everything. It just makes life so much easier. Oh, I'm just going to call this test. Just like we named it. And I'm going to hit next, and this is our save location where all our other default hard drives, public, document, Hyper-V, virtual hard disk. So, oh, never mind. I'm wrong. I'm picking the parent one, right? Parent. So when we use the base right here, that's going to be our parent. And see, there's our other ones, DC1, DC2. We don't want to use those because those aren't read only. So we could have some issues when those start changing. We're going to hit open. Go next. And then we should be good. It's telling us that this is the hard drive where we're making it. And this is the one that we're referencing as our parent. It's differencing and VHDX. So I'm going to hit finish. And I'm going to hit apply so that those changes have been made. Now I'm going to go up to the firmware. I'm going to make sure that we're booting off of that drive first. Hit apply. And that should be all the changes we have to make, correct? I'm going to hit OK. And if Murphy's Law isn't on my shoulder and Karma isn't there on the other shoulder, then this thing should fire up. So I'm just going to hit connect first. and then turn it on. I think later we'll make a base image for Windows 10 and see how that works in here. But doing it this way, we don't have to go through the whole installation process, and we know it's a good to go image. So, and we're just going to call this one test, and we're going to use all the same stuff we used before. Then hopefully, when this turns on, it'll be activated. Then I can shut it down, put it on our private network, and it'll be ready for testing. I love it. Somebody's cutting stuff with a saw outside my house right now. Hope you guys can't hear that. Here we go to the admin screen. This ain't too hard, right, guys? Did you guys get lesson 4 finished? I'm gonna cut this part out of here. All right, so here, since this was out-of-box experience, it's going to give us the same questions it would ask us when we did a clean install, the first 2 questions. So we have the United States, English, US. We're going to hit next. And we're just going to accept their terms like we have a choice. By accepting their terms, you accept their future terms if they change them too. So that's pretty sad. I wish I could do that. All right. So now that we've got our server 123, we're going to go in here and log in. All right. At this point, this is how every time we're installing, remember our checklist, right? Are we activated? First thing, are we activated? If not, we didn't put it on the external network or something's wrong. So right here we hit yes because that's for the network discovery. Waiting for that server manager to come up. It's probably already activated. I can look right here. It says network and internet access. If I right click on this desktop, it'll probably say it's activated, but I'm pretty sure as soon as I do it, this will pop up and block it. So when this pops up, one of the first places we can look, configure this local server. It'll be on the right hand side over here if it's activated or not. So it does say it is activated. Also, I'm going to close this. And we can right click here and just do a refresh. And it should say right here that it's got the countdown now. So I'm going to go back to this server manager just to save a restart on us. I'm just going to rename it test really quick. Because we don't need that name. So this computer's name is test. That's it. We're going to hit OK. Okay, close. I'm not going to restart. I'm going to say restart later because I'm going to shut it down. Because I need to take this off of the public network and put it on the private network. So I'm going to go over here and I'm just going to say shut down. Other, unplanned. Yeah, we can say planned. It doesn't matter. We knew we were going to do it, right? So we're using these machines to practice what you guys are doing in your labs. So I'm doing The way I do these are in the order that we'd actually do them as we are installing on a network. So we'd install, we'd test, we'd do a test bench, and we'd make sure everything's working. And as we're setting everything up one at a time, we're going to test and make sure it's working. So your labs don't actually have you test and see if they're working. They just have you do it and on to the next. So I want to make sure that we know how to test it and make sure everything's working. So I'm going to come up here to File, Settings, and we want to make sure that this is now on the private network. Never, ever change this when the machine's on. All right? Some of you have been hurt already by that. You don't want to be hurt again. So we're going to come over here and go to Private. Apply. And that's it. Now when we turn it on, this should actually be on our Contoso.com network. Okay? Now, it's not going to be domain joined, but it is going to be on the network. And I'm going to domain join it after this, and then that's going to be where I'm going to stop this video. So our next one's going to be doing actually creating user accounts and testing those. I'm going to connect this. So right now I'm locking in with a local account. That means this account only works on this computer. So once we join the domain, then we can use all the user accounts we can create on the domain on any computer that's connected to the network. So now you see it says Contoso.com up here. So I'm going to say yes. So that means right up that our DHCP is working. So we're going to do an IP config. And let me just make this full screen because I see red. It's usually a bad thing. And let me just pull up our PowerShell. And we're going to act like that this PowerShell is our command prompt, because I like to be able to resize things. So I'm going to do IP config, just the basic one first. And this says we just got the IP address 10.10.10.1 with a subnet mask of 255.0.0.0. No gateway because we didn't set one up. And it says that we're connected to Contoso.com. So if we want more information on that command, I want to go /all, right? And this will give us a lot more information. So host name is test. We are test. We should name it Groot on one of these. Node type is a hybrid. IP routing enable. No. Wins proxy enable. No. DNS search list. Contoso.com. That's where we're going to be looking for DNS names and where stuff lives. Also known as our 10.0.0.10 and .20s. Come on down here and connection specific DNS. Our physical. So this is actually the MAC address of our network card on our computer. We're using DHCP. It is enabled. Yes. Auto config. Yes. We don't have IPv6, and I didn't turn it off on this yet, right? So right now we have an IPv6 loopback. Local loopback right there. IPv4 10.10.10.1 preferred. It's happy. And then our lease obtained on June 1st, 2020 at 9:42 and 43 seconds. So we have till the 9th on a Tuesday for our lease to expire. So on 2020, 9:42 at 44 seconds a.m., this lease will expire, and it will ask for a new one. It can renew them earlier, but that's when it is scheduled to be expired. So default gateway, we don't have one, so it's blank. DHCP server is 10.0.0.20. That's what it's, we set that up on DC2, right? So .20 is correct. There's our IAID for DHCPv6. We don't actually have IPv6 turned on, so we'll turn that off shortly because we don't need it. We'll just come down here to the important stuff where we have our DNS servers. So it automatically put 10.10 and .20 in there. So the other spot we can look at this is where we're familiar with setting it up. So we can go back to configure this local server. And remember, on a server, our quick way to get to stuff is going to be right here. And it says contoso.com, so we're excited about that. It doesn't say unknown network, so we know there's not a glitch. Later on, if it says unknown network, we know there's a glitch. We now have a DHCP server on our network. So I'm going to double click this and get into here. Again, I can go to details here. It'll say the same stuff we were just looking at. So why it's got, oh, never mind. I thought it, so remember I had deleted it, so because it did have 10.0.0.20 twice in here. For a second, I thought that that's what that was doing, but then I realized it says DHCP server there. So this pretty much is a quick glance of everything that we're set up right now. I'm going to close that and go into properties. Let's just turn off that IPv6 because we don't have it. We don't need it. And then in IPv4, we can go back to see everything is obtained automatically, so we don't need to worry about it. There's no alternative configuration, so everything is clean. This is how your average every single day computer is set up. Your cell phone's set up like this. Your home computer's probably set up like this. So I'm going to hit close. We have communication, 10 gigabits per second. So I'm just going to hit close, and we're good. So I'm going to close that, and I'm going to refresh because I did change. I turned off the IPv6. So now all it says is assigned by DHCP. So that's a good thing. So let's make this actually act like it's a regular Windows computer. So you might not know that, but this is actually, it's just a stripped down version of Windows 8.1 with server applications on it. So I'm going to go and show you this really quick, and then we'll probably take our break at 10. So let me go to manage. So we're going to add some stuff, and you might notice something in here from us doing our core exercise. That you can actually take it down the core and minimal from using the add and remove. So I'm just going to go in here like we regularly do. So again, we're not actually using this as a server, but we need to go into a features because this is features on demand and this is actual server roles. We're going to our features, and there's going to be a GUI one down here, user interface right here, right? So 2 of 3 are installed. That third one is actually the desktop experience. And there's something interesting about this desktop experience. So if I come down here really quick, as quick as it'll let me click on something. So if we go to our C drive and properties, I want you to note something before I install this. So if we go to, where's the disk cleanup option in here? Oh, I don't even think it gives it to us right here, does it? Well, after we install this, we're going to have the disk cleanup tool in here, okay, guys? Unless I'm missing it. Because if you notice on a real computer, actually, I don't think it's going to show because it's only doing, no, I'm just sharing the app. Nope, it doesn't. All right, so when we install this interface, so the desktop user experience, it's going to give us disk cleanup options in there. That actually helps us after we do updates when we're building images. It lets us actually clean up and get rid of all those files that we don't need anymore and kind of lean up our system if we're going to deploy it on a bunch of other computers. So let me close this really quick. And we're going to do this desktop experience. But remember when we did Windows features, install Windows features and uninstall Windows features, we had the graphical management tools interface and the server graphical shell, the shell and the infrastructure. Remember that? Well, that's these guys right here. So we're just going to add to them the desktop experience and click add features. I'm going to hit next, and that's going to allow us to do the themes and everything. This is what I turned on your base, on your host computer that you guys are using right now, which I'm probably just going to keep referring to as Big Red now, because I don't know, sounds fun. Could be a prison name, whatever. So right now, if I click down here and go theme, it's not going to give me anything. So come on. So we're going to have, see, this page is not available on this edition of Windows. But after we install this, it will give us those features. It'll give us Windows Media Player. It'll give us everything like a regular Windows 8.1 install. And it's like this with all servers. You have this option on all of them. So remember, you have 180 days. So if you didn't have Windows on a computer, you could always install one of these on your computer, turn everything on, and now you have Windows for free for a third of a year, right? Or is it half a year? Yeah, 365. I'm tired, guys, so please put up with me. So once this is done, it'll restart. Or should restart, we'll see. It's funny how some things work for one class and I do the same thing in another class and it doesn't work. So let's see what happens here. And again, this is just going to be our test bench right here. This is how we're going to test our user accounts and everything that we create, and we can play with them. And we're going to do OUs. We're going to do security groups, group policies, make stuff work, make stuff not work. But the big issue in the book that it uses for this is it tells you to do it. And then at the end, it goes, if you'd like to, you can go and actually go to the computer and see if this works, but they don't actually have you do it. So we're going to go through there with each other and hit that stuff and try and make it work. Then we actually know if it's working, and the stuff I know that we can have problems with installing, we're going to go in there and do that too. I'm not going to hit every little thing because a lot of this stuff's kind of too redundant. What's in the use certified, if we did the exact same thing again, it wouldn't be any different. So, and these are for us to play and break, play and break. And then we're going to have to get a couple people built today, since I don't think they have machines. And then anyone who's like ahead, if you want to volunteer and try and help that person, that might help you remember how to do it too. But let me know if you want to. I'm not going to just throw someone out there. Usually when we're in the classroom, I have one person show I'll show one person and they show the next person, and then that person shows the next person how to do something. It's one thing to do it, it's another thing to show someone how to do it. If you can teach someone else how to do it, then it helps you remember it better. So it looks like it's in the process of restarting right now. Yep. So it likes to sit on the screen when it's doing stuff, but it's still got stuff happening in the background. You know, before I joined the Marines, I was like a shy person, but I was always doing computers and I was teaching. So I taught Flash and web design before I graduated high school. And then I got bored and I wanted a challenge. I originally was going to join the Air Force, but they lied to me, so I joined the Marines. Then, you know, after you get shot and stabbed a few times, you're not shy anymore. So you have any kids, Tyler? Oh, so you're already a teacher. The problem with that is you got to worry about all the dicks out there now. You have twins? Or is that? Oh no, 4 months. Okay, I was like, I saw four twice. Guns. Yep. All right, now we're in here. So, all right, we got time to do this. I keep on forgetting I'm recording right now, but this is just for you guys. So it's funny how many people like bots instantly right as soon as I upload, and like, oh, really good. I want to be friends. You'll see that in the comments on the videos. Some random person on YouTube. All right. So now we've turned on the user experience on here, the desktop user experience. We have a few more minutes left. I'm gonna let that finish coming up here. So now if I do theme, it's gonna get mad at me. What the hell? I love you, computer. It worked in the other video, I swear. Start it again. That is funny. It's right here, though, okay? So here we can change the colors and everything now, like you guys can before in your host computer. So we probably have to update it and stuff. I'm just gonna change this one to you guys' favorite, like a dark blue, right? Actually, gray would be what we're used to for a desktop computer, right? So we'll do that. Let's just do gray. That's our Windows 10 experience. Blase gray. All right, cool. So the next thing I want to do is I want to put this on our domain. And once I do this, we'll be done. And we're going to do this the way that we do it with a regular workstation. So I'm going to come over here and I'm just going to type sys. And hopefully this gives me what I'm looking for. I don't think that's the right one. Nope. Delete one. So what you'll find is the freaking search really sucks on Windows. Windows 7 had the best search. So I'm just going to go to control panel because this is acting stupid. So what I was looking for was this one right here. So this looks familiar because the way we get to this is everything was a shortcut in Server Manager, right? So Server Manager shortcuts us to this screen, and then we do like the remote desktop settings, and we change the computer name and everything in the same spot. It just shortcutted right to it. So again, if I went here, I got like 30 seconds to burn. And when I clicked on this, it went to this. See? So it's going into the system properties of that. So let me minimize that. So all we're going to do is we're going to come here to change settings. Because I want to do this how we would do it on a workstation. And we're just going to come here to domain. We're going to click here. And we're going to do our contoso.com. I'm going to hit OK. And it's going to ask us for our credentials. Now we know that our DHCP is working because it's talking. We want to use our administrator. Now, luckily it didn't flip underneath, so I might have typed something wrong here. Let's make sure. A lot of times it'll flip that to your local computer, so keep an eye for it. It didn't do it this time, so I'm not going to play with it. And the server 123. We should get a pop-up that says, welcome to contoso.com domain. So when I hit OK, close, restart, when this comes back online, we're going to be able to use our credentials on the domain. So again, we're just getting this set up so that we can use it for tests and stuff. So as soon as this pops up and we confirm we're on the domain, I'll stop this video. You guys take your break, and then we'll see if you guys want to get caught up to this point, and then we'll create user accounts after this. So we'll try and get those who don't have their machines built caught up to us. We have everyone today. So when this screen comes up, see how this says test? That's what we named our computer. That's if we want to do a local login. If we're logging in local to our computer, we're not doing that. We're going to go to other user, and now see how it says signing into Contoso? That's our domain. So here, this is going to get mad at me. So when I type administrator, watch when I hit the R. It switches the test, right? It wants to do Contoso, but when I put that R in there, it's like, nope, I want to do local. So we have to do at Contoso.com or Contoso / in front of it. And that'll also flip it to designating to go into the domain. Then we do our server 123. And now it's actually creating a profile for the administrator on this computer of Contoso. So just think of this as like your Windows 10. This is your non-server. Even though we use server to install it, we're treating this like it's not a server. We're just testing stuff. You ever feel like it's messing with you? Like it just wants to sit there and stare you down? There we go. You blink first. All right, I'm going to click on this really quick. So we should be Contoso. It switched from domain to contoso.com. All this stuff's enabled because we pre-did that when we did the base. So that should all be good. Luckily, my time's only off by 1 minute, but the server might be off by 1 minute too. The time, well, you can't see it, but the time on my computer is 1 minute off from that time, but they're two different computers that it's basing its time on. So this is a good spot to wrap this part up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first I'm going to go view full. So remember, my goal is I'm going to shut this down, but if I did that right now with what I could see, that's the wrong computer. This is red. So let me go view full screen. And it didn't keep my settings either. How rude was that? Notice that? It's baby blue again. You know why? Because I'm on a different account. But you will notice that there is the store here. You now have the Microsoft store. So I'm going to take this. I'm going to go shut down. It's a good thing to have a different one on your local account from your domain one, since they both have the same login name. So when you log in, if it looks different, it'll be your queue. Hey, I'm on the wrong account. So I've got that shut down now. So what I'm going to do, since I know that works and it's on the domain, I'm going to come up here to action and I'm going to go checkpoint. I was going to say test good and say yes. So now I have a test workbench that's ready to go. And if I break it later, I can revert it to this state and it's good to go. Because there's some things where you can go in there and mess around with GPOs later and they can make it unusable. So we want to make sure we have an out because we don't want to install that all over again. So that's going to wrap this one up. And then let's see if we can get people caught up. I'm going to just start that so it's running for later.